Hey there, Tristan here with the Subaru and two sets of tires after a track day. We're going to compare these two. Should you take your all-season tires to the track? What can you expect? Is it safe? What would work better? And how they both look after a track day. If you're ever curious about that sort of thing, let's take a look at it. This is a pretty stock, maybe mildly tuned Subaru WRX 2009. The modifications are things that are good for the track. So air oil separator and AOS, drains under the turbo. This is going to keep the oil in the engine on those high G turns. You can see a glint of color right there. We've got the JDM teen coilovers to get the ride height and suspension firmed up. Other than that, you'd be hard-pressed to tell what was done here. There's a lot of cooling mods that go into this vehicle. There's a cylinder 4 cooling mod. There's an oil cooler that's about the same size as that intercooler that lives under here. There's an upgraded alternator to help smooth out the voltage and amperage output at different RPMs. And what else? Fluid damper to lock in the harmonics with the 4-cylinder in this configuration. There's a lot of harmonics, so something like that really helps the car feel smoother. There's sway bars to help with body roll, and then of course for any good track car we've got the upgraded brake package just to make sure that we can slow it all down and turn. Okay, just some data about the track day. We took the car to Carolina Motorsports Park. That is in Kershaw, South Carolina, CMP. It's a fun track. It's a good track. We were there in late December, so the track was cold. It was about 32 in the mornings, right around freezing, warming up to mid-40s in the afternoons. Saturday afternoon it did get into the 50s, just barely. And for context, this car was under 2 minutes. It's not a massively fast car, but it was doing good. But even at that pace, you'll see what kind of damage it does to these tires. The horsepower of the car, that would also be helpful just to understand what it takes to damage tires. It's not much. So this car is probably just a little over 300 horsepower with the mild tune and the mods that are done to it. So it's probably about 250 to the wheels. At that horsepower, with this being a Subaru WRX, not the STI, so it's got an open front and rear diff, and the center diff is also considered open with the 50-50 split between the two. So it is understeering and it is underpowered, and if the tire loses traction, it sends all the power to the one that has no traction. So you end up with incinerating the tire that's already losing traction by spinning it faster and harder. It's a safe combination to take to the track to learn with. The car behaves very predictably. Understeer is good. It helps you save the vehicle, but it's not the fastest. But we'll take a look at the tires and what it did to each. Okay, so here is the first tire. This is a Sumitomo HTR all-season P02. This is a 500 treadwear rubber, and you can see it overheated. That's exactly what causes this. Too much temperature in the tire. So there's a TG, or a glass transition temperature of a tire, and even in winter with a car that doesn't have a tremendous amount of horsepower, you can melt your tires, which are not good. So can you take a tire like this to the track? Absolutely. Will it get you around corners? It will. Where is it dangerous? In a slow turn where you've braked and you now need to accelerate out, you're normally pretty fine. In a high-speed turn like a kink, that's where you get in a lot of trouble. The tires are hot, they're greasy, and when you need them most, they're going to fail you and let you slide. That's where it's scary, that's where it's unsafe, and that's where it can cost more to have the wrong tires than if you just paid the money for the right tires up front. Okay, let's take a closer look at this tire. So chunks out, the forces were applied in this direction. So you can see the rounding of this outside edge and this peaking of the inside edge. If we go over more, we see this hard cut in the tire. This tire, when it got too hot, it then increased the PSI of the tire. So then your pressures went too high and the wear pattern started looking wrong. Again, we have more peaking and not a tremendous amount of rounding off of this edge. So the camber was wrong for this tire. The tire pressure was wrong for this tire. There were a lot of problems with this tire. It just got too hot and it wasn't safe. We tried it, but now we know better. Okay, and here we have the Kumo Extas. This is a PS72. This is a 320 tread wear tire. So you can see it just was much happier at the track. We still have that rounding off of the leading edges, but we see it happening now consistently across each edge. So this tire was the right temperature, and the camber was right. Honestly, it could have been better. This inner edge was still not being brought into play enough. But again, we don't see any of that chunking or that bad damage to the tire. So that glass transition temperature was not reached for this tire, and so it wore in predictable ways and it performed in predictable ways. When we exceeded that glass temperature, that's when the tire starts falling apart and chunks go flying, and you end up having to just be very careful and back off of the speed. So there's your comparison. So does that mean that the PS72 is the best tire for the track? Absolutely not. When we were there at the track day at CMP, we were doing 20-minute sessions, and most cars, including this car, you do a hot lap and then you do a cool down lap. So we're not even really fully loading these tires, and we're already seeing wear, and we're seeing those temperatures go up. So PS72, great tire. I really like the way it performed. The turn-in was nice. We didn't have to go excessively wide with the wheel in order to try get grip or anything like that. It did a great job at its recommended size. If you went to something like a 200 tread wear, well, now all of a sudden that glass transition temperature is even higher. It's even harder to reach, and then a tire like that can handle more abuse. It's almost counterintuitive because a tread wear number that's higher, you might have the thought, oh, this will last longer at the track. That isn't always true, because if you get too close to that glass transition temperature, well, then you're doing damage to the tire, and it's no longer in the range of normal wear and tear. So when we're looking for a tire to withstand the heat, how long are you tracking for? How much horsepower are you applying? How wide are the tires? What are the differentials? All those little factors play into making a good decision for the tire for the track. So this wear and tear, just to give you more context, like I said, these are just single hot laps with cool down laps in between, and we were able to exceed the glass transition temperature of this tire. So be careful. Usually on back roads, on mountain drives, on highways especially, you're not coming anywhere close to it. But on a racetrack, at full push, at full brake, you will find it real quick. One last thing to mention, me and my best friend Kyle, we grew up together. We've always been passionate about similar things. We're now creating car content. Please take a look at the channel we've created. It's called Pass Garage, inspired by the word toge for passage through the mountain. We love that sort of vibe, that get away, relax, enjoy a good drive, and we hope to share some content like that too. Hope you enjoy it.